It's easier for students to review when a lecture is available in both video and document format. They can listen to the teacher's narration in the video for any unclear parts and quickly browse through the PDF version of the lecture when they just need a brief review. So in this video, we will discuss how we can handle PDF documents to enrich our lectures and make our teaching process easier in general. If you know how to annotate PDFs, it's possible to provide your students with properly graded and commentated version of the online assignments. This improves the transparency of grading. If you know how to perform OCR, you can create PDFs with embedded text when sharing scans of physical books or book chapters. You can also create documents or notes from a quick scribble on paper. So let's see how we can use softwares to accomplish these things. In this video, we are going to mainly talk about annotating and editing PDFs. So by annotating, we refer to marking and freehand writing on a PDF in order to add your notes, thoughts, and do different type of tasks like grading. This is actually the most important task. I actually use annotating apps to grade my students' assignments. They submit their assignments on a Google Drive. I download the assignments, quickly go through them through the annotating app. It allows me to open a bunch of files at once. I just grade them, add the necessary notes, like I mentioned why I deducted their marks, or I leave congratulatory messages, make comments, etc. And if you are instead looking at something that was typed, you can also highlight things or underline things. So some of these are actually available in all PDF readers, like this highlighting, but the freehand writing part, that is actually the most important part for grading, this is only available in annotating software, and it's not very common in free software. So the one I use is Xodo. It's free. It's available in all platforms, Windows, Android, and iOS. It even has a browser app if you don't want to install anything. So it's very versatile, and the most necessary features are present in all the versions, though I think the best version is the Android one. However, the annotating app basically just works on the surface of the PDF. If you want to actually change the content of a PDF, that is, if you want to change the text, you will need a PDF editor. So paid apps like the pro versions of Adobe Reader or Foxit PDF actually offer these options, but we are going to mention this software called Sejda PDF Desktop. I'm actually not going to demo it because it has way too many options, and editing PDF is not very useful for teaching, but you can check this out. I'll add the link. However, since the PDF has some limitations, like you can only do a number of tasks each hour. So if you want unlimited PDF editing, you can instead try Icecream PDF editor. It's very versatile and it has a very nice clean interface and allows a lot of in-depth editing. However, the only catch here is that whenever you export a PDF after your editing, it will slap an ugly looking watermark on it. So you can take a look. If you think that the watermark is not a big enough issue for you, you can try it out. Otherwise, just stick to Sejda. The Windows version of Xodo has to be downloaded from the Microsoft Store. Once you've done that, you can open any documents. It's also possible to drag and drop, or just click here and open yet another file. So once you have a file open, there are several viewing options. I recommend you turn on vertical scrolling, which will allow you to scroll with your mouse button. There's also some neat options like seeing them in thumbnails. You can move them around if you wish, reorganize the pages. You can go full screen or crop the pages. And you can also change the color mode. Like if you're working at night, you can use the dark mode. This here shows you the outline. You can add bookmarks. If you have any annotations, they will show up here. So let's go and add some. When we enter this edit area, you can see that we have the conventional annotation options here. So let's say if we select something, they already give us these options. Say we want to highlight it, or we can just take the tool and select what we want to highlight. So that's another way. And you can see they are showing up in the list of annotations. So if you have many annotations, it's very easy to keep track of them later. Now, if you're trying to use this for grading, instead of using just these annotation tools, you might want to add some signatures. So after clicking this, click anywhere. Here you can insert your signature. So the first time you'll have to make one. So let's say it is here. The next time I can just say my signature and it will come up. I can left click anything to select it and press delete to get rid of it. You can also use the ink tool to add comments to exams and homeworks you're grading. So you can see that it's pretty easy to write down your comments. Much easier if you're using a stylus instead of a mouse. And you can also remove any comments that you've made. The underlying PDF, it's not impacted, only the writing that's done by you. There's one thing you have to do when you use the pen. You must click Save before you exit. Here I am not going to do that, and you'll see that what I wrote will be gone. You can draw a number of shapes using the next few tools, and you can see what they mean by clicking these three buttons on the top right. You can also edit the style and colors of the annotations you have done. So that's basically all the tools that are useful for grading. Xodo can also be used from the online app, and while this does not have as many options as the Windows one, it has some extra options that are very useful, like merging PDFs. We can take the last two PDFs we opened and you can save them as a new PDF. Let's call it merge 1. It has been downloaded. Our two PDFs were two open access papers, and you can see that they are now combined into one PDF. Here's the first paper, here's the second paper. You can also use this function to make PDFs out of multiple JPGs or other types of files. Let's try that. So let's say we want to make a PDF out of these two types of pictures. They will be immediately added once we drag and drop. And when we save it, it will give us a name that will have a JPG at the end, but don't worry, this is just a name. Let's give it another name like merge 2. When we download, we are going to get a PDF that will have these two pictures as its pages. Page 1, page 2. This interface supports all types of pictures, but you cannot use anything like a Word document or a PowerPoint document for this. But that's not a problem because you can use the Save as PDF option for those type of documents. And once you have made them into PDFs, you can merge the PDFs here. Plus, while Merge PDF does not allow anything other than pictures and PDF, but the View and Edit option allows us to open Word, PowerPoint, and Excel files, and when we annotate them, they're converted to PDF. So we can also merge them afterwards this way. Xodo for Android is actually the most advanced version of Xodo. It has many options not found in the Windows version or the web app. It allows us to successfully access our online files from Dropbox, Google Drive, and OneDrive. The general features are more or less the same, but it has a few good options useful for teachers that are only available here. A small advice, however, if you're using this version of the app and using a smart pen or stylus, you should go to settings and choose Stylus as pen as marked by this red circle and arrow. For files that are in this SD card, you must pick the SD card option. For everything else, just pick folders or recents to open a file. So we are going to open this random watch manual. Just like the Windows app, you can navigate either by a vertical or horizontal scrolling. For horizontal, you just have to swipe. So let's go to the edit toolbars. The first few things are similar to the Windows application. However, in the section where you can insert things, in addition to pictures, you can also insert signatures and also stamps. Using stamps is a feature that is only available in the Android application. You can create your custom stamps, and I think this is very useful for academic purposes. In the pen tool, you can draw either using a stylus or your finger. If you're using fingers, you have to use this tool to write, and for stylus, you can write anytime you're inside the application. The eraser works in mostly the same way, except that you can choose if it's going to erase only ink, like what you write using the pen tool, or if it will also be able to delete things like objects and stamps. So we added a stamp here, and you can see at the start it cannot remove that, but now it can. To do this, you have to keep the erase ink only option disabled. The next few options allow us to add different types of shapes. The one thing the Android version does really well is the annotating part. Let's add an annotation. Let's go to the section where the annotations are, and in general it looks the same as the computer app. However, if you have multiple annotations, you get the chance to delete all of them at once, which can be good if you did some mistakes and want to start over. Also, if you have a lot of text annotations, you can extract the text as a new PDF file. Let's add some text annotations, highlighting and underlining things. After adding the annotations, just click the blue button at the bottom right and save it as a new PDF. You can see it mentions all the annotations along with the pages, which can be pretty useful for research purposes. The only application I know that also does this is the Zotfile plugin from Zotero app, but that is a software with a completely different purpose. Xodo Android app also has the functionalities of the web app. You can select a number of files, click the blue button at the bottom right, and merge them into a single PDF. If I navigate the pages using the page navigation bar below, I can see items from each PDF in the merged PDF. This is also possible from Xodo's browser, the folders option. We can see a plus sign. We can see multiple options here. You can make PDFs out of a number of documents just like before. You can make PDFs from your gallery images. You can even make a PDF from any random web page. You just have to drive the web page address. So that was all about Xodo. You can use whatever version you like. Either way, have fun annotating. OCR refers to optical character recognition. This is a type of technology where image processing algorithms take an image containing text and extract that text, which then can be copied by the user or put in a document. This is very useful for scanning academic papers and assignments containing typed text. And certain programs can even have handwriting recognition support. So as long as your handwriting isn't too unclear, you can even turn your handwritten notes into searchable text. Now, in this video, we are going to discuss 4 types of software. The first type is the most useful. This can scan any physical document that contains typed text and turn it into Word document, PowerPoint, or PDF where the text is searchable. So we are going to look at a demo of Office Lens, which offers different types of output like Word document, PowerPoint, PDF, or it can even export to OneNote. We will also briefly talk about Adobe Scan that has similar properties. However, it only offers an output type of PDF. There's also some software where you can directly copy the text instead of putting it in some document. So we will take a brief look at one such software called Notebloc. And these two were the cases where your input was some physical copy of a book or assignment. So there's another type of app which will take a regular PDF or picture or Word document that already has some picture with text, but that text is not searchable yet. So if you apply OCR on that picture or PDF, you will get a searchable PDF, or you can extract that text. So we will take a look at PDF 24, which can do this. And lastly, we will take a very brief look at a software that can convert your handwriting into typed text. So this is called Handwriting Recognition. There's actually a lot of um, software on the app stores, but most of them are paid. We'll take a look at another software called Text Scanner. It can recognize handwriting as good as the previous app, but it has a lot of ads. And lastly, we will take a brief look at OCR Handwritten, an app that is only for iPhone. The first software we are going to take a look at is Office Lens. This is by Microsoft and it's designed to work best with Microsoft Office apps on your phone or your tab. So here, the documents you scan are automatically saved in OneDrive. So this can be pretty useful if you have a lot of OneDrive storage. And you can also save them in local storage that is inside your phone. And the Office Lens has the plus point of being able to save the files in a lot of different formats: image, Word, PowerPoint, PDF, etc. And it can also be automatically sent to your OneNote notebook. The syncing is automatic. And you can batch scan. This was an option that was not previously available, but recently it has become available. However, there's one small shortcoming that applying filter to all pictures at once is not possible. So it's best that you take your picture in a well-lit environment where you don't have to apply separate filters in different pictures. Office Lens allows us to take the picture of anything with text and turn it into a searchable document. To test it out, we are going to record a paper with lots of text. The software can automatically detect the edges of the document, and we just have to take a picture normally. Once the picture is taken, we can manually adjust the cropping, or we can do it after taking a number of pictures. Add new will allow us to add a new page. Done will mean the document is complete. We can also crop it again. We can rotate it. We can change what kind of document it is. We can add some text. And we can draw over the document. By clicking Add Now, we have decided to include another page. We're going to take another picture. Crop it again. If you have lots of pages, it's probably a good idea to turn off this option. Took another picture. I applied too much flash on the third picture, so we are going to delete it by tapping the bin button at the top left. There's also some filters that could be applied. We're just going to delete it. We can add different types of filters. Black and white or clear usually work. Do note that you have to apply the filters individually to each page. So if you want to make a searchable PDF with lots of pages, you might want to check out Adobe Scan, where you can apply filter to all pages at once. By clicking Done, we have indicated that our document is complete. We can now decide which platforms are we going to share this document in. We can turn the picture into a searchable Word, PPT, or PDF, or we can send it to OneNote, or we can save it to Gallery or OneDrive as a picture. It takes some time for it to sync. You'll see this waiting for transfer screen for a while. Once the syncing is complete, we can start to download. Actually, I believe you can download it before that, but it's usually a wise idea to wait for a little bit. A small note, in the PDF, the text will stay embedded inside the picture, but for Word or PowerPoint documents, there will be a separate page that will contain the text that Office Lens recognized. So we have opened up the PDF file that was made by Office Lens, and you'll see that even though this is just a picture, this is searchable text. We'll prove that by trying to find some words that we can see here. And you can see that estimate is properly found in all of the locations we can see it in. Then subsequently, that's a long word, but it's found properly. Now let's take a look at how things are for the other type of files. For OneNote, however, just check out the video for OneNote. Our success in using Office Lens to extract the text itself will depend on two things mainly: picture clarity and page quality. Here is the first page we tried to turn into a Word document. Text is quite clear, and the other was this. The text is somewhat clear, but background you can see that the text on the other side of the page is bleeding through. So both pictures are okay clarity wise, but the page quality is different. So when we take a look at the Word documents that were generated by Office Lens, so this is the first one, the one with the form. You can see that even the formatting is perfect. It looks fine. There's hardly any spelling mistakes. So this is good. On the other hand, this one, it looks somewhat strange because you have this equations and things here. In general, you will find that when you generate a Word document, the first few pages will be the OCR output, and at the end, you'll find the original document. So using Office Lens this way might be quite useful. If you need to copy a lot of things from a printed book, so you can just OCR it, and then you can copy it from the OCR text. That might save you a lot of typing. Function-wise, Adobe Scan is more or less the same as Office Lens. I personally find the interface slightly prettier, but otherwise they work the same. In this case, the documents are saved in Adobe Cloud instead of OneDrive, and can also be saved in local storage pretty easily. And the only shortcoming here is that you are not going to get Word or PowerPoint documents, you are just going to get a PDF. However, one plus point here is that you can apply the same filter to all pictures at once. So weigh your pros and cons and pick one of this software. The experience of using OCR with Notebloc is somewhat different from using Office Lens and Adobe Scan. Here, once you have scanned a picture of a document, you get this button OCR that you will have to press in order to extract the text. It will not be automatic. And once you do, you will get an output as text. So in the bottom part of this picture, you can see there's a lot of equations. Usually these are not detected properly. Let's put our hopes on the top part here. So let's zoom in. So this is the text, and once we hit OCR, we will get an output like this. So if you compare, you can see that the text here and the text here is quite similar. There's hardly any spelling mistakes. So the OCR performance is pretty good. You can then share this text by using one of these buttons. You can directly copy. However, if you decide to save this as a PDF, this text will not be here. So the save option and the OCR option, they are not together like it's in the Office Lens or Adobe Scan. So if you want a PDF with text, you should go with Office Lens or Adobe Scan. If you want the text directly like this, you should go with Notebloc. However, in Office Lens's Word option, you can actually get the text like this inside the Word. So it's up to you if you want to use a separate software for this. PDF24 actually has a lot of options that you can explore at your ease. However, we are going to only focus on the OCR part. So let's click here. You can see that you can add files that you want to OCR from. So let's add one. So you can see there's a description of this file where we still don't have anything. So let's click this start button. It will take a little bit of time. It's estimated here. It actually managed to finish much earlier than estimated. Now you can right click. Let's first take a look at the recognized text. This is the same image as what we used for Notebloc. For better comparison, let's also open the original file. You can see that everything up to the format has properly been copied, where W, L, and dimensions respectively with regard to CMOS inverter, 5 distinct regions of operation. So you can see it's quite accurate, just like Notebloc from the previous slide. There's hardly any spelling mistakes. Now let's open the PDF with text. Let's search for some text. We are searching for some random lines. For example, say we want to look at the static, then conditions. So you can see even if we write long phrases, it still manages to detect and show where it is. So our OCR is quite successful. Handwriting recognition apps work more or less the same way as the regular text scanner apps. You take a picture by either taking a photo or choosing one from your gallery. So I'm taking a photo of this rehearsal line I had written. So you can see the text is not super clean or anything. It's slightly cursive writing actually. The software takes a little bit of time to analyze it. However, despite the slowness, the accuracy is really good. In this video, we are going to discussing the process of data whiteboard writing. Anyone who prefers writing on regular pen and paper instead, feel free to skip ahead to the next video. Everyone else, let's go. So it is completely accurate. You can copy the text to clipboard, or you can share it using by tapping on the share icon. You can also create a PDF, but it's useless in the free version. So my recommendation would be to tap share and save it as a .text file. I usually do it in my Files Explorer, but you can also save it to your drive or mail it to yourself, your choice. However, this app also has some restrictions. It cannot save your text for the future. You will have to save the text file after each page. You will not be able to access them later. The other software I'm about to recommend actually does have the option to uh, save your files. Unlike the previous app, you can crop the image if needed. The scanning speed is slightly better. The scanning accuracy is more or less the same as the previous one, but keep in mind that the accuracy will highly depend on how clear the image is. My hands shook once while testing out this app, and the results were much worse even though I was using the same page. You can see how we can check the text later and export it if necessary. The scan button at the top right works the same way as the previous app's share button did. You can also import pictures from your picture gallery and apply OCR on them. Now you might wonder why I bothered to mention the other app when this one is so good. That is because this app is full of ads, and the only reason you're only seeing the premium pop up is because I have an ad blocker installed. Without the ad blocker, this app bothers with you with ads at every single step. So do check out this app, but if the ads are too much of an issue, just use the previous app or use an ad blocker. I borrowed an iPhone just to do this demo. So in this OCR Handwritten app, there are some ads, but they are not too invasive, so I don't mind it. What we have to do is go to the Handwritten tab, then choose a picture from either the camera or gallery, just like before. We're going to choose the same picture as we used before, this line. Once we have taken the picture or selected it, we just click extract text. It takes quite a bit of a long time to do the OCR, but I'm not complaining considering the lack of ads. The ads aren't too bad. I sometimes speed up the clips during my demos, but I'm not doing that because I want to be truthful to the time. Okay, so it is done. It was perfect, no spelling issues. So now let's take a picture of something a little bit more messy. Tap extract text again. By the way, the recording of the screen here was done by just iPhone's internal function. So if you want to learn how to do that, check out the video description. It is done, and this is a big accomplishment because the writing was pretty messy, but there's hardly any mistake. The only mistake is due to the fact that I crossed away some text. As you can see, this app supports looking at the history of your scanning, so that's also another plus. Anyway, it's great that we managed to find a good app for iOS as well.